Hello and welcome back to part two of our A to Z of manifesting. And there might be a few part ones and twos of this, depending on how many of each letter we get through. So this is part two of the letter A when it comes to the A to Z of manifesting. I'm Lois. I'm a mindset, manifestation, and empowerment coach. Welcome here, and I hope you enjoy this series where we go through everything to do with manifesting from A to Z, helping you understand all the terminology, what it means, and how you can utilize it to your advantage so that you can become powerful, conscious manifestors. So with this part two, we're going to start with our next A, which is going to be authenticity. So authenticity is the highest vibration that any human being can embody. It's been studied. Now, initially they thought it was love, then it was gratitude. But since recent studies have shown that authenticity is the highest frequency that we can embody. What does it even mean? Well, it's being your true self. It is literally who you are. And I don't mean that in the sense of your identity in terms of, I am this person, I live in this house, I am this age, I have, this family, I work at this place, those are more circumstantial parts of your identity. Being authentic is about your character, how you move in the world, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, how you express yourself. Basically, just the way you exist in this world. And the way to really know if you're being authentic or not is whether it's true. What you're saying and how you feel, what you think, what you believe, is it true? Because so many times, you do this, I've done this. We say and do things to try and fit in with the crowd or to be like others. No one really likes standing out too much. Some people do. I don't mind. But it's very hard for a lot of people to feel like they can be their true selves and to feel accepted. And we've talked about acceptance before. And that's something that we all want as human beings. We want to be accepted by our peers, by our loved ones, by our friends, by society. We don't want to be alienated. But to be authentic requires us sometimes to actually step up out of the shadows, to really have conviction in our beliefs, in the way we conduct ourselves, in the way we feel. Take, for example, somebody who has a certain sexual preference, and for years they hide it. And they pretend that, maybe they like the opposite sex, but really they like the same sex. And so for years, they just pretend. They wear a mask. And if you've ever tried doing this, if you've ever tried to dumb down, suppress, lie, deny, or mask anything about yourself, your true self, it's exhausting. It's depressing. It is depleting of your energy. You know that you don't feel good doing it. And that's really how you know when you're being authentic or not, is, are you really speaking your truth? Are you letting people see the real you, the you that's in here, the way you feel, the way you think, what you believe, your opinions? Because it's the most important thing you can do in this life, is to be authentically you, to be the real you, to take off the mask, to peel back all the layers that you've been covering yourself up with. So whatever it is, whether it's the sexual preference you have, whether it's how you feel about certain things, whether you're involved in politics or the world in general, just how you feel about life. There's so many times when I was younger that, I've always been me, But there were times when I used to kind of dumb down things about me, about how I felt towards spiritualism, how I felt about, believing in spirits and ghosts, in telepathy, in psychology. And there's so many things, being psychic, as it were, manifesting even, to tell people that you don't just believe in this stuff, that you actually teach it and you coach it, and that it's part of who you are. And when people look at you like you're a crazy lady, you don't care, because being authentically you, it's so empowering. It's where you find your courage and your strength, because when you are speaking from your truth, no one can take that away from you. And if someone doesn't like you because of who you really are, they're not your people. You don't want them in your life anyway. But if people don't like you and you're living a lie, then they're not even liking the real you. They're liking a made-up version of you. They're not liking a fake you. So they never even got to know the real you to begin with. So whether you're someone who's pretending that you're fine when you're not, pretending that you're straight when you're gay, pretending that, you like certain sports when actually you hate them, pretending that you enjoy the same music as your friends when you really don't. Stop. Be honest, be authentic, because there's a lot of people say, they want to find their tribe, they want to find their people. How the hell are people going to find you when you don't even find you, when you don't know who you are, or you don't share who you truly are? Your people will never find you because you're hiding yourself. So to find your tribe, you've got to be authentically you. Number 2 that we're going to talk about, this was a suggestion by one of our subscribers: abundance. Now, you might think you know what that means, but abundance is so much more than materialistic. Abundance is not just about wealth. It's not about money. It's not about, having lots of stuff. Abundance goes beyond that. Oh my gosh. I love this word. It's actually one of my favorite words, because it totally describes and encapsulates what it is to be blissful, what it is to be content, to be fulfilled, to be satisfied and satiated. When you feel abundant, when your life is an expression of abundance, it means that there's no lack, that there's no craving or needing or pleading or begging. There is nothing outside of you that you can think of that makes your life any better. And so many times we do think of it as a material thing. We think, if I have lots of money, I'm going to feel good. And if I have the right relationship, I'm going to feel amazing and confident. And, if I've got that career, I'm going to feel successful. But all of these things, they start here first. You don't need that big job to be a success in life. You don't need vast amounts of wealth to be abundant. You don't need that loving relationship to know that you're already loved, to feel loved. Because these are all just frequencies. They're all just vibrations. They're all just energies at the end of the day. Love, wealth, success, it's all a feeling. It's not like success isn't a thing that you can touch and hold. Abundance isn't a thing that you can touch and hold. It's a state. It's a way of existing in this world. And a lot of people don't realize how fortunate they are, how blessed they are in this world. And we can so often look outside of ourselves, and we look at our lives and we feel like it's just not adding up to much, that it's just not hitting the mark, that there's so much out there that we want. And like I say, it's great. We'll always want things because we're human. But it's just about that state of feeling like life is good. Where I am right now is good. And I guess it kind of feeds into acceptance sometimes, but it's just a state. It's just a way of feeling. It's recognizing that this life is fucking glorious. You are fucking glorious. And when you can embody that, when you can feel that, it starts to show up in your 3D reality. So abundance isn't about having lots of stuff, lots of things, lots of money. It's about you feeling so content, at peace, blissful, fulfilled, satisfied with where you are and what you've got. That doesn't mean that you don't want anything else, like I said. It just means that you're good, that you just feel blessed for what you have, whether that is money in the bank, whether it's friends, family, whether it's the love of someone, whether it's just the love of your dog, whether it's the opportunity to do what you love doing as a job, whether it's the opportunity to travel, whatever it is in your life. Really take a look at what you've got going on in your life and cast aside anything that's negative, anything that you don't like. Look at the things that you are happy with in your life. And let yourself just sit in that for a moment and give thanks for what you've got. And just allow yourself to feel how lucky you are, how fortunate you are, how abundant you already are. Our third one in this part 2 of the letter A in the A to Z of manifesting is affirmations. This is just part of techniques. Now, what are affirmations? Some of you are probably familiar with it. An affirmation is simply a statement. It's a mantra. It's a statement. It's a phrase. It's a sentence. And you use it to help with reprogramming a belief, shall we say, in your mind, or it's a way of encouraging you. It's a way of boosting your mood. It's a way of installing information. A bit like, when you're revising for an exam, you just repetition. Affirmations work the same way. Now, as I said, it's part of a technique in terms of manifesting. And affirmations work for some people and they don't work for others. And the key here in manifesting is find something that works for you. Now, I've explained this in other videos that manifesting really is just a simple 3-step process. But what affirmations can help you with is shifting your mindset, shifting those beliefs and helping you to reframe things, to reprogram what's already there. But now we need to clear out that stuff first as well. So if you've got any, negative beliefs or any limiting beliefs or anything that you've got going on in you that you don't, that don't benefit you, basically, whether it's, I don't feel lovable, or I don't feel good enough, or, people always leave me, I'm not very good with money. An affirmation basically rewrites that script, and you just shift what you're already existing thinking and feeling into something new. So an affirmation could be, I am loved, I am respected. Even if that's not easy enough to say, you can take it even more general and just say, I am learning to be more confident. I am practicing being loving to myself every day. I am making progress in shifting my limiting beliefs. I am working towards becoming the highest version of me. Even little things like that, even as general as that, can really do wonders to boost your mood and to feed you with more positivity. So an affirmation is simply just a means to an end. It is not, as some people say, they think that if you affirm all day long, you'll get what you want. But I'm going to come on to that in a minute. Affirmations don't just get you what you want. Affirmations are not like saying, oh, if I affirm that, my specific person loves me, or I have £1 million in the bank, that all of a sudden it's just going to happen. Because as we've talked about, there's other things involved. There's awareness, there's alignment. There's so many other things we're going to talk about. Affirmations are simply to get you in the state of feeling like it's possible, like it's true, like it's already happened, like it's already done. It's a way of reconditioning the current system that you're in and reprogramming you into a new system, a new state, a new way of being. So some people do robotic affirmations, which would be to have something on a loop, like I am loved, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved. But if you're someone who's got really low self-worth and has got maybe a lot of past trauma, that's going to be a difficult affirmation to just implant in your brain and just accept. Brain's going to reject it. Your subconscious is going to reject it. So, like I said, you maybe need to scale it back to something a little bit more general. But the key with affirmations, whether it's robotic or just a regular affirmation, the key here is repetition. It's to regularly say the phrases. It's not just say it as and when you feel like it, or in the moment when you may be a little bit anxious or triggered. It's to consistently keep the affirmations going. When you wake up, when you go to bed, throughout the day, just little, it's like self-empowerment. It's just like little nudges of encouragement. Now, our fourth one is a bit of a double whammy because it ties into the universal laws. I will go into this when we get to you, and I'll explain all the laws. But this is attraction and assumption. They are two very different things. Now, you may well have heard of law of attraction. There's also law of assumption. There's many other laws of the universe as well. But these two in particular, law of attraction, law of assumption, they're two very different things. Because law of attraction, some people think, is about simply being a match to what you want. And in some ways it is. But in this life, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. And by that, I mean, who are you being? Like, what is it you're putting out there? What is your vibe? You know, imagine like when you're at a party and someone walks in who's really confident and they've got this air about them and they're just smooth and they just seem to be effortless and attractive, and you want to be around that person, right? That's attraction. And it works the other way. If someone's there and they've got like a resting bitch face, for example, or they're really grumpy, or they're always negative, they're always criticizing, and you know, they just have one of those auras. That's another one, aura. They have that feeling about them that's just really ugh. That's repellent, right? Well, law of attraction works in the same way. So you can want as much money as you like, but if your state of being, if your vibration, if your character is very poor, very negative, very critical, you're not really at a match to attract wealth. If you're someone that's looking for a loving relationship, but you behave in a way that's very much not that way, you know, if you're someone who tells yourself that you're never going to find someone, if you've got this energy of like, you know, all men are assholes, or all women are just gold diggers, or, you know, I'm really unlucky in love, everybody cheats on me, my partners never stay. Guess what you're going to be attracting? You're going to be attracting more of what you don't want rather than the things you do want, because you are not a vibrational match to it. So that's why when people say, I'm so unlucky, these things always happen to me, it's because they are emanating, they are projecting that vibration. And so that is what you're attracting back. So law of attraction is not about what you want, it is about what you are being. Who are you? What is your vibration? What's your frequency? What are you putting out in the world? Because the world is your mirror. So whatever you're pushing out there is exactly going to get thrown back to you. So if you're pushing out negativity, the world's going to give you negativity. If you're pushing out joy and love and security and stability, you're going to attract that back. Now, I can caveat one thing. You will also attract some things that are in opposition to who you are being. Because that's just the way sometimes nature works. Like I said, you know, the person that walks into a room who has that air of confidence, who has that ease and that flow, is going to attract all sorts of people. People that are on the wavelength and people that maybe are not a good match for them. That's one of the things when you have that kind of state of being, when you're very confident, when you're very self-loving, when you're secure, when you're stable, you know, when you're very grounded, That is just an attractive energy to have anyway. So whether you're someone who's a bit low vibrational, or whether you're someone that's very high vibrational and is a match to you, you'll attract both. And it's just the way it is. Like I said, you attract what you are, not what you want. Now, when it comes to assumption, this is one of the essential parts of manifesting, because assumption is exactly the same as saying it is done. It is what you assume to be true will be true. So if you're someone that assumes you always get cheated on, congratulations, you're correct. And that is what you will manifest. If you assume that you're no good with money, then again, well done. That is what you will manifest. If you assume that you are always treated with respect, that must manifest. Because what you assume to be true for you will become your reality. So have a look at what you are assuming. And you'll know this because a key phrase that people use is always. This always happens to me. I always get treated like this. These people always do this. Oh, this always happens when I get money. Oh, this always happens at work. Are you being an always person in a negative sense? Or are you being an always person in a positive sense? Like, oh, I'm always lucky. I'm always treated with respect. I'm always loved and adored. I'm always looked after. I'm always supported. I'm always, first pick. Because if your experience in life has been negative, I know, I've had many, many bad things happen in my life to me and around me. But it's part of the journey. It's part of the awakening. It's part of the process of this unlearning all of these negative limiting beliefs, is to really check on what you are assuming to be true about yourself and about other people in the world. So really be more deliberate in what you are assuming. And if there is something about you that you are assuming and you do believe it's true and it's negative, like I do believe that people always cheat on me, then maybe it's part of this journey. It's the inner work that you go through. It's the shadow work in looking at why you have that belief in the first place. Where did it come from? When did it start? Why is it there? And why? Why do you believe it? And also, why are you still choosing to believe it when the alternative is to believe that you are loved, that you are good enough, you are deserving? So why wouldn't you want to choose that belief? So consider that. Because if it's so easy to believe something negative about yourself, it should be equally as easy to believe something positive. But yet most of us choose the negative over the positive. Why? That's part of the work of, the introspection and inquiring. So the law of assumption is probably one of the most, I would say, in the top 3 most important parts of conscious manifesting. Because what you are assuming to be true must become your reality. It must. And the harder you're assuming it, the more effective and the more quickly it will show up. So whatever it is that you have a desire for, whatever it is you want, whatever it is you're trying to manifest, make sure your assumptions are in alignment with that. I hope that has cleared everything up in terms of the A's. If there are any other A's that you can think of that you would like me to discuss, let me know. And I will perhaps do an extended version at the end of the series where we go through another whole list of A to Z's, picking up anything that we may have missed out. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again in the next one where we're going to talk about the B's of manifesting. Take care.